Shalom again, friends. I came home one day last week to find a beautiful bouquet of flowers and a card on our porch table. It was a huge surprise. From the handwriting, I knew who the gifts were from, so I eagerly opened the card. And it was one of those cards that tug at your emotions in different directions. It had humor, made me smile, had honor, made me feel special and deeply loved, had hope. It encouraged me to keep fully living in the midst of hardships and heartaches. The next morning, another friend who had no idea about the card and flowers sent a text. And both the card and the text had something in common. I'd like to read that to you now. It comes from the prophet Isaiah, and it says, I will give you the treasures of darkness and riches from the secret places, so that you may know that I, Yahweh, the God of Israel, call you by your name. What really stuck out to me was, I will give you the treasures of darkness. Because last week was one of those weeks where it started out hard and then it just got harder. When I encouraged us all last time to look for opportunities to practice kindness and compassion, I didn't have to look very far. There were heart-shattering circumstances happening all around me. We knew we needed to love not just from afar through prayer, but to walk with people in their grief. Compassion is empathy in action. And yes, it takes more time, more energy, and more from us because it requires our presence. But this is what I know. If we don't grieve with those who grieve, we miss a huge blessing. Now, I don't have time to tell you everything else that happened, but last week ended on Saturday with a funeral. The funeral gave so much perspective. It was a powerful reminder of what truly matters. The funeral was small, only 20 adults and a few children. No friends, no former colleagues or former coworkers. And there were hardly any comments on how she impacted people. It honestly made me sad. I couldn't help but reflect again on a life well lived. Now let's go back to my friend who gave me the card and the flowers. This isn't a comparison game. It's not a popularity contest, but I can guarantee that someday at her funeral, there will be hundreds. And the difference is because she lives a life beyond herself, because she looks out not only for her own interests, but also for the interests of others, because she not only receives the treasures of darkness, but she shares those treasures with others. That is a life worth living. That's a life well spent. A few weeks ago, I challenged you to start with the end in mind, to write your own obituary. Have you done it yet? Life is so short. Will you do it this week if you haven't? If you need help with it, or if you've already written it, but now need help and support, reverse engineering it, I'd love to coach you. Let's begin the conversation and design together a life well lived and a life well spent.